Let's bring it back to football a little bit. July means college football 26 comes out. EA Sports, all the excitement last year. The game delivered on expectations, Pete. I think you would agree. Year two, they're changing some of the things about the games. I'm really excited about the changes in defense. But one thing that got everybody excited was the position rankings came out, overall ratings, and you get to see exactly where your Miami Hurricanes stack up and what the people over at EA Sports think of this roster. So let's break it down, shall we, Pete?
Let's do it.
So Miami comes in as the number 11 rated team in the game, 86 overall.
Wait, what ranking were we?
11.
We'll take that. We're taking the 11.
Yeah, I think 10 to 15
for 20 years. I'll take 11.
I think 10 to 15 is pretty solid. I think that's what I would have expected. The number 1 ranked team in the game, just to kind of look at it for comparison. Again, Miami's 86 overall rated, and Alabama as the number 1 team in the country in the game, highest rated team, 89 overall. So they're not really putting any teams like 99 overall. Texas number 2 at 88. You have like 7 teams at 88 overall. Texas, Ohio State, Penn State, Notre Dame number 5. So obviously Miami has that game to start the season. Georgia number 6, Clemson number 7. So Miami coming in as the 2nd rated ACC team, as you would expect. Texas A&M 88 overall, also number 8. And then you have Oregon, LSU, Miami right after Miami with the same rating, Florida.
I mean, so Florida buzz is like, it's maddening. It's
gonna make it hurt more when they suffer. You got to look at it through that perspective. It's gonna with a fall. If you just fall over, it doesn't hurt. If you fall from the 2nd or 3rd story, it hurts considerably more. So I think that's what you're looking at more with the Florida Gators. But go ahead, Pete.
Go ahead, Mike. What were you going to say?
We do also have some individual players of note. You'll be happy to know that there is at least one Miami Hurricane in the overall top 10 on offense. Any guesses as to who that player is?
Oh, Mauanoa.
It's Mauanoa. He comes in at number 9, the highest rated on offense, at 93 overall. Interestingly enough, though, not the highest graded tackle, nor is he the highest rated right tackle.
And not even the highest rated Polynesian? Or Spencer Fano,
94 overall from Utah, right tackle, has Mauanoa edged out. Caden Proctor over at Alabama is a 94 overall on the left side of the line. Jeremiah Smith is the number 1 overall player in the game at 98 overall. That one stings a little bit for obvious reasons. Ryan Williams, number 2. Jeremiah Love, who's an absolute beast, one of the great, more impressive short yard runs I've ever seen coming off that injury in that Orange Bowl. Really impressive. Jordan Tyson, Arizona State. It's got some talented players. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Arizona State. They did a lot better against Texas than anybody really would have thought. They got that bye. That
was without Tyson, too, that game.
Yeah, well, I mean, they were basically a one-man wrecking crew, though. True. Even though their quarterback was very good, that's going to be a really hard player, Skidabu, to replace. So we'll see. But Levitt is also ranked very high. And we'll get to the quarterback rankings. Eli Stowers.
Yeah, Stowers. Yeah, he's good.
93 overall, tight end, Vanderbilt. How did Vanderbilt keep him?
He could have gone pro. He could have transferred. Staying loyal. I think him and Pavia are tight. I believe he played with Pavia at New Mexico State. Okay. So I think that was hey, let's just keep it rolling. I'm sure Vanderbilt's a fun place to play if you're good. He could have gone pro. I think his calculation was it's a very deep tight end draft. I'm going to come back. I'm going to get a great, NCAA football rating, right? Get paid a lot as the top player on the team along with Pavia. So I think they're just trying to run it back, those two. But Stowers, man, is a really, really talented tight end. To me, I don't know this to be a fact. Just looking through some of these, like, for example, you look at Miami. Charles Brantley is one of our highest rated players, or the corner, I think is going to help us a lot. But like in terms of the pecking order of where these guys are going to go, I mean, Xavier Lucas, let me say it differently. In terms of paycheck and in terms of like lawsuits in their name and in terms of just like where they stack up, I think in terms of the pecking order, at least from my perspective, Xavier Lucas is like here and Brantley's significantly lower, but in the game, Brantley's rated higher. So I think a lot of it's like Pro Football Focus rating and stuff, like Wesley Bassane, who I think is rated fair, but one of the reasons he might be rated higher is because his Pro Football Focus rating. I think that has a lot to do with these rankings from what I can see. Because it's hard to rank a million players, right? When other people do it for you. So I think that might be playing a role here.
Miami's 4 highest rated players: Francis Mauanoa, 93 overall. Ruben Bain, surprisingly, I think, very gracious with a 92 overall.
No, he's top 10 in every mock draft. He's preseason All-American.
I know, but he had a sophomore slump. Like, if we're going off of what they did last year in Pro Football Focus, Ruben Bain was barely on the field last year. So
if you watch the game tape, and I had the same impression as you, but then when you watch, like when you actually, like you see these draft guys now who are all putting Bain high, because what these draft guys do is after the season,
they're just crunching year 1 tape.
They just, but even year 2, they'll focus on the player. So like right now, they'll be like, all right, Ruben Bain's supposed to be the guy. They'll watch every Ruben Bain game. They'll watch Louisville. And I got to say, I think, and this, if you just, and I had the same impression as you watching the games as a whole, knowing, what we expected Bain to be, knowing he missed time. When you really isolate Bain last year, he didn't play that bad. I mean, I think he looked pretty good. He was knocking guys back. He was throwing guys around.
Louisville, out of his boots by Mendoza.
He did. Well, now Mendoza, we're seeing that he's a real player. What's his then NCAA rating?
I actually don't know. It's not. Nate Tyson isn't going to be happy about it.
But I think a lot of Bain's struggles were scheme related, more so than like if you would just watch Bain against his guy, even last year. Forget freshman year. It's not like they're beating him up or like neutralizing him. Sometimes they are, but I think more often than not, he's winning. It was more about he was doing stunts and things that were kind of stupid for what he does. And now theoretically focus more on just beating his guy in a scheme that's all about beating your guy and just being physical and powerful, which I would say his power, just in terms of knocking guys back, is the best in the country.
Yeah. No, that's where he's got a strange body type. So you want to, and being a hybrid kind of guy with such power, coming from being able to generate such force from a low point. It's why, and this is a demigod of a name to invoke, but it's why people were whispering Aaron Donald type comparisons, because he was a guy that was kind of hard to put in a box. Year 1, he generated that power. Year 2, though, when you consider his injury, you generate a lot of power from that injury. Wasn't necessarily available. Knock on wood, we get a bit of a body transformation too, and a little bit more of a consistent role. I actually like the versatility that Ruben Bain brought to the table, but maybe for the next level, it'll be better for him to kind of hone in on one specific position. I like him at either. I like being able to move him across the line. So I'm not necessarily super hot to that idea. Carson Beck does just miss out on the top 5 quarterbacks in the game, coming in at a number 91 overall rating. The top 5 quarterbacks in this game are.
I thought he was the 4th highest rated QB. Yeah, I think he's 4th.
Tie goes to the schools that aren't Miami, I guess, because there's several quarterbacks that are tied at 91 overalls. The aforementioned Sam Levitt is at a 91. Lenora Sellers also at a 91. Drew Allar, who sucks, is a 92. Yeah, your boy Garrett Nussmeier, 92 overall, the 2nd highest rated quarterback in the game. I guess they give a tie to Cade Klubnik, who was ranked number 1.
All right, here we go. Here someone compiled this. So here's the top 20 quarterbacks. I'm curious about this list. Let's go through it. Cade Klubnik, number 1. He was very productive. He brings all his guys back. I have no problem with this.
Good development for him.
For college. Pro, I would put him lower. Nussmeier, number 2.
We know you love Nuss.
I mean, he was very productive. He had 4,000 yards. So,
I'm still skeptical. I know you're a big Nuss guy, and I want to see it there with you. And at times I do. He's got a very impressive arm talent. There's just something missing with Nuss for me.
I'm not saying he's, elite. Talk about how Jaden Daniels was or someone like that. But I think he's a good player. And I think this ranking's fair based on his production. Drew Allar, I agree, but he's on a good team.
They were hiding him in that Orange Bowl. That's one of the more, for a guy that has got number 1 overall draft pick buzz around him, you can't get more of an embarrassing performance than Drew Allar in that Orange Bowl game against Notre Dame. Trying to hide him the entire game, incapable. How many completions did he have to wide receivers in that game? Was it 0? Did he complete 0 balls to guys whose job it is to receive the ball? A crazy disappointing performance. It's one that's got to be held against him forever.
Yeah, no, I agree with you totally. Now, the question is, do the receivers stink? So, there's 2 ways to look at it. I think a great quarterback, you never ask about the receivers. You kind of just, they get exposed later. The quarterback kind of hides it. So I agree with you. He's too high. Levitt, I could see at this spot, but he's, this year's big for him without having Skadaboo, him and Tyson.
Who would you have taken, Carson Beck or Sam Levitt?
Beck. I think I think Beck on talent's better than all these guys.
I would take Beck also over the
I
questions.
agree.
Beck or
I agree,
Levitt.
but it makes you sweat. And if it's one of those situations, hey, you can get Levitt now, or you play the wait and see game with Carson Beck. This is not something that presented itself. I do think that would have been something to consider.
I think Beck is better on talent than everybody we've gone over on this list until, my favorite guy that we've gone through here, and we're number 5 now, Lenore Sellers, who's not 91. So I guess the same, a lot of guys in this 91 cluster. I'm a Sellers believer. When I watch South Carolina, like against Clemson, for example, he carries the team. Mm-hmm. He is the one carrying the team.
Yeah.
He's got great character. He's got great traits. He's not there yet, but he's in the right direction.
Sneaky loaded roster over there in South Carolina, which is something that Miami should keep an eye on because that is a future opponent.
Yeah, well, that's right. And our guy Taylor, who helped build that team now with Miami's personnel department. But if all these guys, the guy that gets me excited here is Sellers. We'll see how he continues to develop. He lost his offensive coordinator, is now the head coach at Appalachian State. Yeah. But it's his quarterback coach is his offensive coordinator. Should be the same thing with Shula. And I'm a Seller. I'm buying on Sellers if I'm picking a number 1 overall.
Can he enter the pros next year or no?
Yes,
he can. It'll be interesting to see if he comes back to college with the NIL package. And know for a fact, even though he never entered the portal, his reps were talking. So this guy is going to leverage all of his options. If he has a great year, then he's got to go to the pros. If he has a year that's just kind of okay, he may want to try to cash back. We'll see with this new player rev situation that they have. They may cap the amount of money that he can make, but Sellers is about that money.
And quarterback's a position, I say stay. I'm a big believer in quarterback. Stay in college as long as you can. What's the Billy Madison? The cherish it.
Cherish it as long as you can.
My son laughed at that movie now, so now he's finally getting to that level of humor.
Ages 10 more years and he can start getting all the other jokes like 69.
Yeah, it's true. It's going to be a long shelf life.
I love that movie and I didn't get like half the jokes when I first watched it.
The penguin with having the affair, they laughed at the penguin. He loved Today Junior. Making fun of stuttering is apparently goes beyond any age groups. I think in the Bible they made fun of stuttering as well.
It's
so that's a classic. And bald people as well.
Really?
Yeah, there was some bald
shaming.
There was some bald shaming in there.
Thank you, Nate Schmidt, for all your contributions to the Florida Panthers. Number 6 on this list is my favorite, and you know where I stood on John Mateer. Would have loved to have seen him in orange and green. Just didn't break our way. We lost that battle. He went to a familiar offense. You understand that. Oklahoma spent a lot of money on the player. Miami was going to have to make it a lot more than Oklahoma's offer for some obvious reasons. I think he grew up as an Oklahoma fan too.
Yeah, he's from Dallas. That's right there.
Yeah, he was an OU guy. I'm excited to watch Oklahoma. They got some talent in that backfield now with John Mateer. I still think their head coach is trash, but it'll be interesting to see if one player can make up for that deficiency that they have at head coach. And look at that right there. Carson Beck's tied with this group, and I think that's an appropriate tier for Carson Beck, especially after the injury.
Yeah, a lot of questions about is this list by Spurrier? Where's Arch? Some anti-Aller talk. Brian, if Beck went to OSU and Bama, he'd be number 1 on this list. We all know the Miami hate is real. I mean, he was at Georgia, but I think he was probably number 1 last year or close to it. So I think you're seeing the injury and some of that stuff playing, which again, that's why I'm so quick to report on how he looks physically, which is good. I don't know, Pete. I want to get your thoughts on this. As I look through this list, so we are now at number 7 with Beck. You have Mateer there. If I'm just picking NFL wise, and I just say who has the ability, if they have a good year, and no off the field stuff, weird stuff, nothing injury stuff. Just if I'm just betting on the skill set, Klubnik, I would say less on the talent because from NFL standpoint, I think college will be great. NFL, I don't see it. Nussmeier, you're getting closer, but I think there's still some talent deficiencies. Aller, it just doesn't feel like a natural passer to me. Levitt, we'll see how good he is as a passer. I'm buying on Sellers and Beck of this list as far as the guys I think it's about potential 1-1 overall pick. Those are the guys that say that to me. Where do you, just from athletic and talent
Mateer, I mean, I think Mateer too. I'm not sure completely about what they have at Oklahoma around him, understanding how important the that surrounding cast is, but I think Mateer for sure. I would put in that.
Didn't they get Ott? Didn't Oklahoma get Ott?
They did get Ott.
That's an electric backfield. Two guys touching the ball the most there are really talented.
So are you picking Mateer off this list?
Man, if Aller just delivers on expectations, I'm not even saying surpasses them. He's got something about him that just NFL scouts go gaga over.
His size. He's got a great arm. He's efficient.
If they're in the playoff conversation again, Aller might have been taken number 1 overall, despite that Orange Bowl, if he entered this year. Seriously, there are just measurables there that that NFL GMs just love.
Yeah, look, I could see. I think you're right on the draft pick. I'm just not an Aller believer yet, just because I like guys that carry their teams.
I agree. I don't think Aller is good, but if I had to bet who's most likely on this list to be drafted number 1, just knowing what NFL GMs go for, it's probably Aller.
No, I agree.
And I'm just expecting Cleveland to have the number 1 overall draft pick.
He's Cleveland all day. I'm just saying for my takes, Mateer I'll throw in that category too, because Mateer carries his team.
Yes,
Mateer is a guy that he is the guy. He's the hub. So I would say Mateer and Sellers definitely carry their team. Beck really carried his team last year, at least on offense,
because
not on defense.
Mateer can have a, like, I'm not saying it'll be statistically exactly what Ward did, but like he can have a year where he puts up a lot of numbers. Oklahoma doesn't make the playoff. Same thing as Miami last year, and still ends up being number 1 pick.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that'll help Aller this year is getting Trevor Pena on the outside. I do think that they're really going to miss Warren and his production. I thought he was a really special player. I was a big Warren guy coming out of. I don't understand what happened in the NFL draft. I think it was a little confusing. But if you watch Penn State, Warren was just such a weapon X for them. Was such a red zone weapon for them. Really made Aller look good. Really good with the ball in his hands too after the fact. I think they'll really miss him. We'll see what kind of player Pena is actually over there. And if Aller can get him the ball and he can replicate the production that he had in Syracuse, then you can no longer say, well, he doesn't have wide receivers, right?
Yeah, it's great coin, be a red flag. They got good tight ends. They've been recruiting well there, so they should be able, I don't know, replace Warren, but they'll get a guy there. Look, just scrolling down this list, Blake Horvath.
We respect the armed services, the military academies. Horvath for what he does for that team.
Exactly.
In terms of carrying a team and production, Blake Horvath deserves that.
For sure, but I mean, that's not something that that's
no, he's not making the pros.
And you got Manning and Lagway, Benetti, kind of the potential. Just rolling down the list, no one really jumps out in the top 20.
We like Avery Johnson, don't we? We found him interesting.
He's fun to play with in the game.
I was gonna say he'll be a fun player to use in the game.
Yeah.
Pavia, I think, is too low, number 17. I would have Pavia higher up. He carried his team.
He's a 99 in terms of being a gamer.
Grit.
Yeah.
Guys that are in Miami's conference. Kevin Jennings, 11.
His avatar is going to be his body will be fully red next year on the injury the injury thing.
I don't agree with these. I don't.
Retzlaff. We may want to adjust that one over at 19.
If I were Tennessee, I'd be getting Retzlaff. I don't understand these rankings a little bit. So you have Kevin Jennings at 89. Is Kevin Jennings a better player than Diego Pavia? I don't see that at all.
Dude, outside of Drew Aller's performance in the Orange Bowl, let's talk about what Jennings did in that playoff game at Penn State.
Oh, unplayable.
Incredible liability. That game was to be had for SMU, and he just barfed all over the front of his jersey. That's one of the worst succumbing to the moment type of performances that you see. And you can only get so it's not like this guy's reputed to be a top pick. You can't be as hard on him as Drew Aller. He has his limitations, and he came in as a backup and sparked SMU of all programs in their first year in the ACC to the college football playoff. But
he's got footsteps now, though. He's got some footsteps behind.
They're married to the plan of TVD essentially being a coach on that staff and then taking over the reins next year. And while they redshirt him. But yeah, I mean, it's a red shirt. They can burn it at any time if they want. So
Brandon's saying, didn't you want Jennings before Beck? Was that take had?
I never remember. I don't remember that take. I think maybe hypothetically you were like, yeah, I'll take him if that's.
Look, man, we were talking about Kansas's quarterback. We were desperate. People don't forget, like before Beck came back into the fold.
I don't remember that take
bleak.
though.
Yeah,
I don't remember that.
Slim.
I don't remember that exact take.
I think
though.
maybe that I don't remember that take either. The only way that I could maybe consider that is if the Tyler Van Dyke to SMU news came in before Beck, and we were like, well, that's interesting. Does this mean Jennings is in play? And at that point, no, it wasn't Jennings over Beck. It was certainly Jennings over.
I think it was probably
Emory.
like, would you take him? Like, that's all we've got.
I never had that. I never had that take. Get that crap out of here.
Well, look, maybe I am too high on Mendoza because he's not on this top 20. I think he's better than a lot of guys on this list. I don't know that
Mendoza is a guy that is going to be a video game sort of like his ratings in a video game aren't going to show what his.
But I think he's better than Nico.
Yeah. I agree.
100%. I think
Nico's got to prove it to us, man.
He stinks.
A lot of this too. I mean, they don't update these rankings during the season. So like, I don't know. I feel like someone like, do they?
Yeah, they update the rankings. They're updates.
I don't remember them dropping too many people though.
They update the rankings,
but I don't remember them dropping too many people. I just think that someone like Nico with his name and stuff, they gotta keep some sort of the attention lost.
So, Mike, what on your show, on the big show,
Yeah.
they say you get the show. That's one of the lines, right? This guy gets the show. 305 Shaman gets the show here. Cole McConaughey update, question mark. Has Moden been taking a step this offseason? You know what? First of all, McConaughey has been hurt, so he missed spring. He's back. He's working hard. He played as a freshman on defense in this kind of screwed up scheme that no one really looked at on the front. I'm excited to see what he does. He played as a freshman for a reason, right? So that's not easy to be a 3-star and then play. I know the defense didn't play great, but he was there for a reason. So we'll see him injury in spring. So I haven't seen him in this defense yet with Heatherman. Moten, interviewed him for Storm Sessions. That'll be coming out next week. He's like in that 310 range. Looked great. Super charismatic guy. Great family. I am bullish on Moten. I think a lot of people around the program are bullish on Moten. Defensive tackles, they take some time, a lot of times, but he's someone with a great first step. Scheme also fits him. I think you talk about key guys against Notre Dame. He'd be one of those guys who got to hold up against some of these big offensive linemen that we're just talking about. I like where Amon Moten is heading into the year. So that's what's at there.
I had one more note on these rankings before we get to the music and wrestling things, because it's not.
I love how dismissive you
seriously.
sound.
What?
I mean, you speak for the audience, OP. That's why you're the most popular guy on the show.
Wait, what did I do?
Nothing, man. Don't worry about it.
Continue.
Wait, I'm confused.
No, it's a way that it sounded like you were dismissing wrestling, but it's all right. But you should dismiss wrestling. You're speaking for a large chunk of the
They're
audience.
selling out stadiums.
This is the most important.
Arenas in Barcelona.
This is the most important part of the rankings. So they have the offense. You have the overall rankings, as we talked about, number 11 rated team in the game. Offensively, they have Miami rated as the number 10 offense. It's kind of a tie with Clemson, LSU, Alabama, Notre Dame, and Florida, but they have Florida and Miami both at 89 overall offensively. But defensively, they have Miami as the number 15 defense in the country, 88 overall. So I think, and just the bigger picture when we talk about these ratings, this is a perception nationally. I think that's not always there's always going to be opinions on certain rankings, but I think if you look at who Miami added through the portal and the recruiting they've done on the defensive line, that there's steps expected to be taken there and other positions as well, I think that's probably a good sign. Not that it means anything. You could see what it was rated at before last season, but a lot of good additions there.
Well, I actually like this segment a lot more than I expected to, but I do want to take a break away from it, not to go to the wrestling and music just yet, but there was some actual news. We had Miami has 2 preseason All-Americans. One genuinely caught me by surprise because I forgot he was a Miami Hurricane.
And he was an All-American last year.
Yeah.
Keelan Marion.
Yeah.
I reminded myself in the country.
I always have to remind myself of Keelan Marion being on this roster. And I think it's because Miami had their sights on other wide receivers that fit that more traditional. And this guy's looked at as an elite returner, which is exciting to have that back in the fold at Miami. Miami needed some easy points there. Defense didn't really come up with the big time impactful turnovers that changed the game that would mitigate some of their limitations. Special teams didn't really help you out outside of the really consistent kicking game. But you wanted some help in the return game. Keelan Marion does address that tenfold. However, we got all our eggs in the JoJo basket, wondering who's going to step up and be the big time producer at that wide receiver position. And yet we have a preseason All-American at the position. So can you put this into perspective? Why it seems to me that Miami Hurricanes fans, out of all the fan bases in the nation, are the groups of fans that are probably lowest on Marion.
Well, I think,
and his ability to impact the game at that position.
Look, he takes the first kickoff for Notre Dame. There'll be Marion jerseys in the stands. Great comment by 26 on this. He says Marion versus Concepcion. Talking about your boy KC Concepcion, who's now at Texas A&M, was at NC State. I think that's kind of the angle, because people are saying who's going to catch passes from Carson Beck, and the truth is Beck's going to spread it around. Beck is not like a lock-in on a receiver type of quarterback. Obviously, he had McConkey and Bowers and stuff, but it's not like he is naturally a guy that spreads the ball. Just watching him, he's very quick to read the defense. He'll take the check down. He's not that kind of guy that's just lock in. Let me just scramble around and make a big play like that. He will spread it. So this guy will have his share of catches. But I think this comparison by 26 is apt because Marion, for a returner, usually kick returners, you hear him, you think, all right, well, if you're an All-American returner, that means you're probably like 5'9" or 5'8", and that's why you're not the featured receiver. Marion's 200 pounds, and he's, I believe, close to 6 foot.
I have some intel.
Let's go.
Basketball intel.
Oh boy.
Breaking
here.
news from our good friend Trenton Breeze.
Bring it up.
Let's keep an eye. Little commit watch sort of thing here from him. And I believe this to be true on Trayvon Maddox. 4-star, plays at Oak Ridge High School in Orlando. Number 120 in the player in the country on 247 here. Top 25 player in the state of Florida. 6'6", 180. Reading his scouting report here. Maddox is built like a prototypical big wing. Has good positional size at 6'6". Long arms and cut up physique that will undoubtedly only continue to fill out. Willing passer who understands how to play within the flow of the game and never dominates the ball. And he's a coach's son, as it says here. Not much of a creator or handler, but an explosive athlete who can rise up for big finishes in the open floor, make tough layups through contact with both hands. Did not see that at all last year. Has significant potential for a big 3-and-D type wing. He's originally from Harriman, Utah. And Trenton Breeze, again, go give him a follow, guys. He's been killing the basketball coverage, is telling me keep an eye on a potential commit here soon. Maybe as early as the end of the week, maybe today. Let's see.
Where did he sign with this guy? Because it seems like he was released from his NIL. Because this is this year. This guy will play on our team this year.
Yeah, he's a player for this class. Doesn't look he was committed to he was with Stephen F. Austin, which I guess he had signed with Stephen F. Austin. That's interesting, man.
Did he have like a coach there or something like that left?
Maybe there's something. I got to look into the story.
This is unusual.
Yeah,
but
he reopened his recruitment back in February.
Our guy Adam Finkelstein, Big Fink. Is it Big Fink or El Fink?
Fink?
El Big Fink.
El Big Fink. He's saying big prototype 3-and-D. See if you can pull up some video on our guy here. Here we go. Nashville Canes catching up, but he would have schooled us long ago. Royals in honor of American Royal, a long-running livestock horse show in Kansas City. I mean, it could not have been a more perfect. That's what we would need right there. That's why the Kansas City Royals hat is a symbol of excellence. Even in Japan, you'll see that hat. The Real Salt Lake. I mean, you're not going to see that outside of, I don't know, Vampire Weekend concerts or something along those lines.
We got
to catch a stray.
I never got into them.
Okay, that's all right.
That's what I associate with the Real Salt Lake.
We got a question here from Brandon asking, so no Arturo Dean, West Virginia fan was telling me they aren't taking him, so I figured it was us. I said the other day that I didn't, based on what I knew, I was a bit skeptical on that one because we had a chance to go after him months ago and didn't do that. So, and he's a local kid. So I didn't get for sure like, oh, we don't want this guy.
Is he not? He's just not a fit for this scheme because
he's not a shooter.
I'm a big Arturo Dean guy. I thought he had Miami in hell in terms of on-ball defending
and
really
nice
impressive
handler,
performance.
But I think they need that shooting. And
he
I don't know
been a great
that
fit for Jim Laranaga's team in terms of like when Jim Laranaga teams are cooking. It's that a point of attack defender that steals balls and gets the team going on the break. Charlie Moore was really good at this. This is like he was such a Laranaga type point guard that when he was kicking our ass for FIU in that game, that turned out to be a really difficult game for Miami. They ultimately won. I came away really impressed with the guy, but it's just this isn't a fit for Coach Lucas.
I think that if you have the option to maybe because you have limited spots and limited NIL.
Well, he's
here,
like
right?
Jet, right? Aren't him and Jet kind of similar?
Jet?
Well, not Jet. What am I thinking of? The point guard we got from New Mexico.
Oh, True.
True. Why do I think Jet? What's his name?
Well,
True Washington.
he's more of a I think Dean's more of a ball handler than True is, and he's True's bigger than Dean as well.
We're talking
Dean's
about defensive dogs. You're not
he's
shooting that much.
5'11". This kid, True's 6'4". So
okay.
So I think you're talking about a big size difference. And again, if you have limited spots and you have the opportunity here to potentially add a player like Trayvon Maddox here, let me pull up.
Let's hype this guy up here.
Yeah, I know Pete's got a hard out coming.
I also want to be careful not to. We've gotten basketball stuff.
When's Pete's out?
At noon.
At noon.
Oh, all right. So we got to get into it.
But that was breaking news. We were getting to it. But that
shout out to the deodorant.
Yeah.
All right. So
I wanted to ask about Shamar Brown, but we'll table that for next week.
Char.
Yeah.
We'll